What's up, guys? Another episode of Shut the Punk Up tonight. It is an episode where I'm going to be talking a lot of shit about RFK. I've been doing this for a while on social media, but we haven't really done a show about RFK at all. I didn't think it was necessary until the last day. At the end half of the show, I am going to have somebody from the Libertarian Party of Colorado come on and kind of explain whatever the fuck they're thinking. And we'll see how that goes. But first things first, I have to say, I thought that the LP was like pretty much on board across the board, that we kind of like just fucking booted RFK at our convention. The dude got completely obliterated. It wasn't even a surprise. Everyone knew this was going to happen. Completely obliterated in votes, and nobody expected him to even make it past the first round, except for maybe one dude, Hector, who's been his number one stan in LP. But I've been very harsh critic of RFK ever since PorkFest last year. Since he came to PorkFest and demanded that all the libertarians unarm themselves to come and listen to him talk. And this is somebody who I've been a harsh critic of because, like, first and foremost, like, guns are like one of my most, like, that is like, to me, that is one of the most important things. And I'm a huge gun activist, gun rights activist, and I love my guns. This dude is a straight up gun grabber. He is a socialist. He's an eco-terrorist, a Zionist, all this stuff. And just a couple of years ago, it was actually at PorkFest last year. He's like, yeah, like I don't think that I really wish that he could ban guns, right? But ultimately he said that he realizes that it's impossible, so that he's not going to try it. That's not a fucking answer. The dude still fundamentally, ideologically wants to ban guns. He does not like your guns. He knows it's impossible to ban. And this is something like I'm in New Hampshire, and there's a lot of gun loving Democrats here that would probably have a contrary opinion to even this. I can't believe that I have to even defend libertarianism against this right now, like, because RFK is this is a fucking joke. Okay, it's been a fucking joke. RFK comes to fucking PorkFest last year and decides, he wants us to, he tells libertarians pretty words. He does the same thing that like Vivek did. He does the same thing that every politician, anybody who wants to get more than 1% of the vote, they're going to tell you things that they don't even believe. And it's kind of comical, because in libertarian circles, we can tolerate this because we're never going to win a national election. That's just not going to happen. So, we can say things like, our candidates can go out and say, we're going to free Ross Ulbricht, and we're going to, fight to free Edward Snowden and all this stuff, because these are like very important things. And they're things that bring attention to the issue. RFK can say it. The dude, obviously he can't win. But and while I appreciate that message being highlighted, I'm sure that there are things about it that he actually agrees with. There's areas where he probably overlaps with libertarians in some ways. But you can't overlook all of the dozens and dozens of horrible policies that this dude fucking stands for. And somehow claim that he's libertarian, or that he's even libertarian enough to run for anything under the ticket libertarian. That's just fucking insane to me. But yeah, being a Kennedy is almost worse than being a politician. You're probably right. He is. It's really like a name thing, and I can see why people in the LP, even if they weren't RFK fans, they might want to gravitate towards that name recognition and try to maybe get some funding or some money, because the LP doesn't really have a fucking lot of that right now. But dude, like, this is crazy, because this was just a couple years ago. Everyone was complaining about how, we ran like, Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, which Bill Weld is astronomically more libertarian than RFK is likely. And he actually was at our DC convention, believe it or not. I saw Bill Weld walking around. RFK was not there. But we were just talking about how, like, we had Bill Weld on the ticket as a vice presidential candidate, and how he wasn't libertarian enough, and how he came out and supported Hillary. And lo and behold, let's look at all of fucking RFK's friends. And sorry, I keep cussing. I don't usually cuss as much on my show, but this is I'm kind of pissed about this. Like, this is kind of ridiculous. Look at all of RFK's friends. Who does he associate with? It's a bunch of Democrat shills, and people who, I'm sure there's plenty that are on Epstein's flight log. He might even be on there. I don't know. I haven't checked it. But so we have some news coming out of Colorado yesterday. I lived in Colorado for about 15 years. Colorado has a very soft spot for me. It's where I grew in my libertarian roots and learned about libertarianism really there. I lived there for a very long time. They've always had, a pretty good libertarian party. Like, they're the first libertarian party that existed. If I remember correctly, I think this is where it all started, was in Colorado. I remember back in the day, being excited about local libertarian candidates and trying to help out where I can, or seeing some of them at fairs or festivals. And now we're here, and I'm going to pull it up just straight from their Twitter account, and we'll just read it. Libertarians. All right. So the Libertarian Party of Colorado announced a partnership with RFK Jr.'s campaign. This does not say endorse, it says partnership. I don't think that the word endorse versus partnership really matters. I actually saw a little exchange in my comments earlier about this exact thing. If you are putting Kennedy on the ticket on there for the Libertarian Party of Colorado, then that's an endorsement. You are not just, you're definitely partners, but you're endorsing that candidate. So they're saying that the first presidential debate of 2024, people are very distraught because people are pissed about the Republicans and the Democrats, yada, yada, yada. I've heard this story a million times. RFK signed LP Colorado's Liberty Pledge, which was also signed by, if I'm not mistaken, quite a few Republicans that live in Colorado. And I think the agreement there was that they weren't going to if they sign that pledge, they're not going to run a competing candidate or something like that. Politicians say what they want. They can pledge what they want. And their words don't mean shit. That's just the truth. And there's very few of these people who probably hold libertarian principle at all. Just signing to a piece of paper that has some fancy words on it that were pre-written by the Libertarian Party of Colorado or somebody in it, doesn't mean anything. These are words that somebody else came up with. These are not somebody's original words. This is not an original thought. They're agreeing with something. And if you look across the spectrum, most people agree with a lot of what libertarians say. You can equally find a bunch of Democrats that would probably say, sure, don't hurt people, don't take my stuff. Let's end the wars. It'd be harder to find some of them that agree on certain other issues, but they're trying to create. It says they're joining forces with the RFK campaign to build a coalition of voters. Their aim is to really stick it to Joe Biden. They encourage Colorado voters to learn more about RFK and the Libertarian Party's platform. Together, they can break the stranglehold of the two-party system. RFK is not getting more than 3 or 4% of the vote, period. The Libertarian Party is not going to get more than 1.5% of the vote tops. Colorado is a swing state. It's been like this pretty much my entire life. And there's absolutely no mathematical chance that Colorado can ever be a red state again. If you actually know what you're talking about when it comes to votes and Colorado's, how elections in Colorado work, there's zero mathematical chance whatsoever for Colorado to flip to a red state, if that's what their goal is. If your goal is just to make Joe Biden lose, that's also not going to happen. Like there's no way that that's going to happen in the entire world. You can take 5% away from the Democrats and stick all of them on the Libertarian Party or the RFK tickets, and they'll vote for those two people. And you're still going to have Biden winning by several percentage points. Colorado is completely lost. It is not a swing state anymore. It is a Democrat state. So this is a bullshit excuse that I'm hearing time and time again. But anyways, so moving from there, there's actually, I wanted to put up the, what RFK actually posted on his Twitter account, because he recognized it. It's right here. LP Colorado. Thank you, LP Colorado and Chair Hannah Goodman, for your visionary leadership in defense of freedom. Together we will win the White House, which is hilarious. When libertarians say that, we get laughed off by other libertarians. You don't say we're going to win the White House. RFK has no chance whatsoever, but that's beside the point. He has to say this. He really, people really think this guy's going to get something going. But protect the Bill of Rights, First and Second Amendments, which is also comical because I have some stuff to say about that for sure. Unwind the war machine. Now I'll give him this. He has been decent on war, mostly. He has said some egregious things over the last couple months that just show that he just doesn't like one flavor of war, which is basically all Democrats. It's basically what they are. Most, moderate Democrats used to be against all war. But he's really just like has a flavor of war that he's okay with. He wants to stop money printing and corporate welfare, restore free markets, which is also comical. Day one, he wants to pardon Snowden, Ulbricht, and all political corporate whistleblowers who protect our democracy. And that was actually just a follow-up to this here, where it says, Kennedy gains historic libertarian ballot access. So basically this is saying that LP Colorado gave him the LP ticket to run as a libertarian. And, I think that this is funny because, I'm going to pull this up here. This guy, this is pretty funny. I saw in the comments there, like he wants to subsidize student loans. That's true. But I wanted to point out as well that he actually, we'll pull that up a little bit later. I'm going to show you this. This is, I'm going to stop sharing here for a quick second. In this, he thanked LP Colorado and Chair Hannah Goodman. I'm friends with a lot of people at LP Colorado. Like I said, Colorado is my second home. My entire family lives there. I love my people in Colorado. I love the libertarians in Colorado. Like there's so many good friends, including, Andy that's coming on at the end of the show. My Forest Mommy's out there, like Jacob, is a newer friend, but he's a great guy. Michael Vance. There's so many really cool, solid people in Colorado that, I consider friends, and they can support this, whatever. I adamantly disagree with this. This is absolutely insane to me. I will not. I'm not okay. I'm not okay with this. And now maybe like part of me is passionate about this because of the fact that I lived in Colorado for so long, and libertarian politics was part of like my thing there. Like that's just what I loved. I wasn't directly involved with the party as much as I was like, out, doing helping with like little stuff, campaign stuff and going to fairs and stuff. But this is where my libertarian foundation started, was in Colorado. And I have a little bit of a soft spot. So I wanted to bring this up too, because just a couple of months ago, we had our convention in DC, and there was a letter that went around that was signed by multiple chairs and other people in other positions from around, Libertarian Party affiliates, that requested RFK to run on the ticket. Now, I've heard people say like, "Oh, we want him to run just so that we can laugh him off the stage," which maybe that's true for some of them. It's really hard for me to see this and then to see this and say that that was ever part of the plan, that this wasn't ever something that they wanted. But if you remember, right there on the right-hand column on the bottom there, Chair Hannah Goodman, was one of the signees on this thing requesting for RFK to run for president under the LP. And, like I said, anybody who knows or has been to a convention knows RFK was going to get laughed off the stage. He wasn't going to make it past the first round. If he did make it past the first round, I would have been completely surprised and shocked. This dude's not a libertarian in the slightest. But, I will say this. I'll actually, there's a little clip here that Brennan Wark and Hannah Goodman had that they released actually just today, I think. Free State, Colorado, and Hannah Goodman. It's a little 2-minute clip, so we'll play that real fast. There we are. And
why is the LPCO putting RFK Jr. on the ballot in Colorado?
They asked me to pursue different avenues for who would be a good fit for the ticket of Colorado. And would we just put no one on there? That was also a very real option. And it would be very libertarian, quite frankly, to have NODA. No other option, essentially. But you can't put NODA on. And we looked at a few other ideas that just didn't sit right. We were presented with RFK, who came to the national convention. So he's a sustaining member of the party. He is a registered libertarian. With that, the people that were working to get him the nomination at national reached out to board members, and they asked me to pursue looking at that. I was able to meet with the Kennedy campaign, and I was able to discuss potential, what that would look like. Why is this a good option? The Colorado strategy is all about using the swing vote and leveraging the swing vote. Colorado's not necessarily a swing state. We're pretty locked up Democratic majority.
That is bullshit. It is not a swing state. It's a Democrat state. There's Republican areas, but anyways, go on. Go off, Hannah.
So the idea is we could essentially leverage this to create a swing state situation and become real viable players in the national level.
This is 100% an intelligent, a knowledgeable lie. This person, like, this is, nobody believes this. This is 100% a lie. There's no way anybody fucking believes that.
I'm tired of living under a Democratic monopoly. And how are we going to break this up? And creating a swing vote essentially is a declaration of war on the Democratic Party of Colorado by libertarians. They have subsequently ignored all offers that my board and myself have made over the past year to try to negotiate with them, as well as we negotiated with the GOP. Many people may not be aware, but we offered a similar deal with the Democratic Party as we did the GOP. If they presented strong liberty candidates, we would move out of those races, and they ignored us.
Yeah, that's that. Man, so she really thinks she's telling people that the reasoning behind this is because she's trying to create a swing state in Colorado. There's no possible mathematical way for there to be a swing state in Colorado. RFK, he could have twice the clout that he does, and 3 times the clout, and 20 times the media attention, and he's never gonna break that up. This is just nobody actually believes this. If you actually know anything about elections and campaigning and in campaigns, that's just not true. Now I'm going to follow that up real quick with a quick little snippet from okay, I see in the comments Biden is now only 2 points ahead in Colorado. That is hilarious. Do you remember a couple years ago when they said Hillary Clinton was the for sure victor in the presidential election, and a couple of years later they said for sure Trump was going to lose, and then a couple of years later they said for sure Trump was going to win? Yeah, those really fucking that's a good point. Anyway, I want to bring this up real quick. It's a really quick little snippet.
Today, I'm going to speak about the United States Constitution and particularly the Bill of Rights. A lot of people don't realize that the articles of the Constitution don't grant.
I don't really have to listen to what anything's saying. I actually just kind of wanted to point out his voice, which I know he's got some kind of damage going on. His voice is the exact same as Hannah Goodman's. They must be first cousins or something like that. Because it's pretty crazy and ironic that they have the same exact voice. Poor girl, poor guy. And I've had really good conversations with Hannah in real life. I'm not like a hater like a lot of people probably, but I can give people strong criticisms, and I know that she wasn't happy that the emo caucus ran a competing vice chair candidate. I think she's probably over that now, but she can. That's uncalled for. It's okay. I'm autistic as hell, so I can push the line, and that's going to be my excuse, I guess. So it's pretty fucked up. It was the brainworm, the RFK brainworm. Hopefully, it didn't spread too quickly. But we're looking here, and I just, dude, I'm going through this. It was just like a month or two ago that RFK came out and said that he was, okay with third-term abortions if it was between the doctor and the individual. I think that's fucking insane. Obviously, that's insanity. We're talking about like a full ass human. But there's nothing about that the Libertarian Party stands with. Like, I know people who are very pro-choice that are like would hear anything RFK had said at that point and just completely thrown him out the window. And then when it comes to guns, I think that it's also important to remember that it was just a couple of years ago. He might say he's like I said, at PorkFest, he said that he wishes he could ban guns, but he's not going to try to do anything because he knows that it's impossible, basically. But just a few years ago, he said this: Parkland students are right. The NRA is a terror group, which is kind of funny. I mean, I don't like the NRA, but basically putting them in, the blame in their hands. And then we have this one where John Paul Stevens, he showed an article published in 2018, New York Times, calling to repeal the Second Amendment. He would for sure do that if he wanted to. And then, we're going to go through, and I mean, I can pull this up here too. Obviously, he's used COVID to kind of like amplify his environmentalist bullshit, which is not libertarian at all. He believes that the government should regulate healthcare, and it should not be left to the free market. What else? Let me think here. Oh, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. That's very libertarian. He wants to raise taxes on the rich. He supports the death penalty, which is something the Libertarian Party does not. He supports free federal funding for four-year college schools. He's against offshore drilling. Oh, Colorado, by the way, he's against fracking, which Colorado, it's like there's so much fracking going. I used to work in the natural gas industry when I lived in Colorado. He's against the Dakota pipeline for environmental reasons. He wants to stay in the Paris climate agreement. Like I can keep running down a list of things, of reasons why RFK is not a libertarian. And I think most people will probably agree with me. I don't even know if the issue here is that people, necessarily care that he's not a libertarian. I think that they're trying to chase probably money or votes, just like they were a couple of years ago in 2016 and in 2020. My overall opinion has stayed the same. The presidential candidate campaign is a marketing campaign. It is not a campaign that is, if we get ballot access, that's great. That's an added plus. But it is not the number one priority. We need to keep a consistently based and principled message. And vote chasing does not matter. It does not matter at all. And especially compromising to get votes. That's just fucking insane to me. But that's kind of like my initial spiel. Now, I have my very good friend, Andy, who I've known for quite a while. And, we've had good conversations. I actually just talked to him literally yesterday about this exact thing. And, I'm going to bring him on so we can kind of talk about it a little bit. He's going to kind of give the pitch for why LP Colorado would do this. And there's really, honestly, there's nothing that he's going to be able to say to change my opinion about this matter. I think it's lame, but, I don't know. We'll see what he has to say. And I want to at least give them an opportunity to speak on behalf of Colorado, because I would hate, because like I said, a lot of these guys are my friends. I would hate for it to just be a one-sided conversation where you're only hearing one thing. I do think that hearing all of this is important. So I am going to bring Andy on, and dude, what's up, Andy? How you doing, bro?
Dude? Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm fine, man. I'm doing fine. I like the plant behind you. The aesthetic is nice.
Hell yeah.
I know you're about two hours behind over there. Dude, what's going on in Colorado, bro? What are they putting in the water out there?
Strategy.
Okay.
And just a realistic look at what we can do with the presidential race, right? So you're MC, I'm MC. Since when we got into this shit, the criteria for what would be a good presidential candidate has always been not defined in terms of votes, but what you can achieve, right? Particularly, what can you achieve in service of Project Decentralized Revolution, which is the whole central mission. Get people elected locally, not just to take over a bunch of city councils, but because those people on city councils and who become mayors can build real political careers and can actually have a really big impact. And we could even do so as L's in that framework.
Well, so here's the thing with RFK, there's no way that that's going to help down ticket. That does not help us down ticket. I don't know how people would think that that's the case. I mean, I was making the statement earlier that Colorado is not a swing state. It has been Democrat for a long time. There's no way for it to flip back to the other side, if that's what the goal was. Now, I hate Joe Biden as much as the next guy, but it is a pipe dream to believe that the state of Colorado is ever going to flip anything but blue, in my opinion.
Well, that's leaked internal Dem polling, right? So that is what they themselves believe. So, I mean, if they are shaking in their boots, even if it might not actually be true, that's good enough for me, right? And that's before you add in anything that we're doing in Colorado. So I don't know that it's entirely unrealistic, but it's also that's what Hannah's leading with, but I don't in that clip, but I don't know that that's a good characterization like to just say that it is. I don't know if it's a good characterization of why we're doing this to just say that it's to turn Colorado into a swing state. That is potential leverage on the absolute max side that we have here. That would be incredible. But at the very least, it's about messaging as well. And
Sure,
or like
but but like if it's about messaging, and like I said, that to me, the presidential campaign is about messaging. That's all it is as the Libertarian Party ticket, because we're not going to win. There's no candidate on the table that could possibly win as a libertarian, not even if it was Ron Paul himself. And looking at RFK's policies and the things he actually believes and stands for that he's repeated over time, none of those things are libertarian. So why would we compromise our message to facilitate his success? In return for what? Like more percentage of the vote, some fundraising that doesn't matter because they're not going to be here in 2 years anyway. Like,
well, that begs the question of what is our message, right? And I think you're completely correct that a huge component of it is actual object level policy issues. But I think that's only a small part of our message. And I think what is more important and what we're better at advocating for and what does more good is all of the Michael Malice type stuff that we wake people up on about who actually rules us. What is the true nature of our governing system? When decisions get made in the federal government and by these big entities, how's that actually happening? And if you read our motion and our statement about why we weren't going to put Chase on the ballot, it's because he doesn't understand that at all, right? And so I wish he did, because you're right on this important part of what our message is. Chase is honestly really good on everything but a couple of things, and even the things that like people give.
Would you agree that he's like would you call him a libertarian? Because I don't call RFK a libertarian at all. Like RFK is not a libertarian, but I would say that Chase checks enough boxes for sure that he's a libertarian, and I've had a lot of conversations with him. And to be honest with you, I don't even think he's the worst half of that ticket.
I would say in his brain, not in his gut and heart. And so and that's where RFK, like they killed
gut
his dad
and heart,
evil,
though.
right?
Like RFK believes in his gut that the environment needs to be subsidized. The environment needs to be subsidized with our tax dollars. And there's so many socialist policies that this guy stands for that libertarians cannot get behind. And I don't there's no window there where I could potentially see a compromise, because this dude, by every policy that I've listed tonight, they are all socialist policies. And I don't care if he puts his name beside something that says, oh yeah, like I would abolish all gun laws and I would abolish the CIA or the FBI. The truth is none of that's going to happen, because he's not going to get more than 3 or 4% of the vote. Those are just words. He can put his name on paper to say anything he wants because he's pandering to people. And
what do you think the 12 level message out of the RFK campaign has been? Like, what single idea do you think has gained the most public awareness as a result of his campaign so far?
I mean, to me, I've seen a lot about blockchain, and I mean, I support, obviously decentralizing in the blockchain. And I think that there's a lot of good things about that. I think that there's ideas that can be pulled from that too. However,
I think it's that the CIA killed his dad and uncle. Like probably the most popular interview that he's done so far are the JRE interviews and the Flagrant 2 interviews. And he spends
But that's common knowledge though.
I don't know that it is, dude. I don't know that it is.
Dude, so I mean, the CIA literally released a document that said that the head of the CIA was in charge, directly involved with the mobs back then and doing it. So the government's directly released the stuff, and maybe it's not common knowledge, but it's certainly public knowledge, and it should be common knowledge.
And it's so important that that's what Ron Paul elected to spend the majority of his LNC speech on, is talking about the coup in 1963 and how we're still governed by those people. And he's the only one who puts that at front and center stage as a central issue in his campaign. And so,
but how does a rogue head of the CIA from 50 years ago that wasn't acting on behalf of the CIA, from what I'm understanding, but either way, that doesn't matter. I don't trust it. And we all hate the CIA. how does that benefit us today? Like, I understand that he's saying like, oh, we need to abolish the CIA, the FBI. Those are great words to say. Okay,
Dude,
those
if
are
you want to
great
kill
words
your
to say.
masters, you have to know who they are.
Okay, I like, this is the thing, man. Like, we cannot just align with people just because they're they say a couple words that we like. And I've been very harsh on RFK ever since Porkfest last year. I think me and you might have even had a conversation about it at Porkfest last year, to be honest with you. We probably did. But this dude is, like, by every definition that I could possibly give you, he's a socialist, man. Like, that, there's nothing there
And,
that like can align with Libertarian Party principle at all. So
and so
I can't.
I want to spend a moment defending that too, actually, because I'm like,
Okay.
I'm almost
All
like happy to grant that point, just because I think the much larger issue is who actually rules us, and can we speak honestly about that, and can we recognize when they're making advances against us in real time? And since at least April of 2020, RFK has. I mean, and I'm being very pedantic there because that tweet was March 30th and it wasn't a great one, but but even on the policy stuff, dude. So have you looked at any of the other LPCO pledge stuff for our state house or statewide races?
Well, I know that you guys have been working to create like a bridge, basically. So if somebody signs a pledge that you won't basically run a competing candidate against people, correct? I think that there's definitely strategy to be had there. And like, as Hannah said in the video, you guys have actually tried to reach out to the Democrat side too, to do the same thing. You don't live in New Hampshire, so you aren't going to be able to actually get libertarians elected. So you gotta milk it from what it's worth. I get it, dude.
You bastards. But I just mean the language in those things is crazy strong. Like, that we're getting people to sign those is, I think, something that, I mean, like, pat our own backs, but I don't think we're getting enough credit for. That we're getting Republican legislators on record saying the things that they're saying in those is crazy. And as we alluded to in the announcement, like, these policy level issues, yeah, you can quibble on environmental stuff, right? Like, some of the stuff that you're concerned about, like, there's going to be a thing on paper in the exact opposite direction, right? And like, you can like believe whatever you want to believe
from what he says, because I mean, like I said, they're just words to me, man. Like, he's been on both sides of every issue, and it's been just within a couple of years I've heard him say complete opposite opinions on things like abortion, guns, even a lot of medical stuff. He'll say one thing where he thinks the government should regulate all of something, then he'll turn around in the next breath talk about free market and how he thinks the free market is the best way to control it, and with the environment and all this stuff. But then the next interview he flips again and goes and talks about government subsidies and all this other shit. So it's like, I can't take a word he says truthfully. And dude, I don't know, man.
And you're like super hardcore about this stuff. You're not who needs to be convinced, right? Whether, like you're saying, like, if there's any chance he wins, he's gonna have to do pretty well in Colorado, and it would have to be at a level that's completely historically unprecedented for what third parties, particularly the Libertarian Party, have been able to do in the LP. But we can hope, right? That being said, like, it's unlikely. So the real value here is what he's going to message on, like we've said, and you can believe it or not believe it. If we're going to be working with him and like he's committed in writing that these are going to be the things that are going to be central focuses, and he's going to be appearing with our down ballot candidates at big campaign rallies across Colorado, that is going to help our down ballot candidates, and it is going to spread the message that we want to spread in Colorado, which is health freedom, anti-intelligence agencies, pro-private property.
Okay, well, I understand that those are obviously very important, especially to Colorado, people in Colorado. But I can't like look at, like, even, he just did like a big post about the whole Chevron situation, and about how he gets something right, but then for a lot of it, he's kind of like off the ball, right?
I didn't hear
And,
your take, but I like just your description of that. I assume I'm going to broadly agree because
yeah,
same.
I mean, this is a pretty consistent thing he does. Like you know, he's obviously a big fan of environmental protections, and Chevron is one of those things where like this is something that hits for him because it's very much so, like if he could, he would for sure socialize the entire system and turn everything he can, like I said, I've
That's
heard him say
definitely
that
where
he
his
wants it to be
instincts
free
are.
market. But
100%.
the free market is not, he wants nothing to do with the free market, dude. Like he's not, I think
That
that like
part I
on a lot of
disagree.
things that he talks about, like in terms of like blockchain, I think that that's a great thing to talk about. But I really don't think there's a whole lot where he actually believes the free market solution, especially when it comes to environmentalism. Like I've been a hunter my whole life, and I can firsthand see, for instance, that like hunters pay for most conservation in wildlife. It's not vegans. And then we're looking at things like nuclear power. And I know that he's talked against nuclear power several times. But then, in the next breath, he'll say like, oh, well, the free market will do this. And, New Hampshire runs half of its state off of nuclear power. And it blows my mind that there's people out there that are like super environmentalists and like, as I call him, an eco-terrorist, that are against that.
So I
but
won't
like,
deny that that's where his instincts are.
yeah,
But have you looked into his organization Riverkeepers and how they actually cleaned up the Hudson Valley in New York?
I haven't looked into River Keepers. I'm not gonna lie.
So from my understanding, the way that actually worked is that they were just funding small property owners who were actually having their property damaged by these big polluters in lawsuits against them. So the way he like that, it's unfortunate that that's where his instincts are, because the way he's actually had the most success is pursuing a borderline Hoppian framework for how you could approach environmental cleanup. Right?
Hoppian, bro. We're
Yeah.
bringing up hopping now.
Yeah. I mean,
Crazy,
it is what
bro.
that's what it is, though. Like that's like
I wouldn't
that-
put
how does the
RFK in the
mechanism?
same breath as Hans Herman Hoppe.
Like it's pursuing private property and liability for damages against that private property as a framework for justice. Like that's Hop. And so that is the only success he's actually like the most success he's had. And so that's where I think we have the most opportunity to really pull him in our direction, which is another like thing that a benefit that we haven't even talked about yet, which is that we're going to be able to influence people in his campaign. We're going to
This
be
is
able
the
to
same
influence
thing I
himself to
heard
some
in
degree.
2016, though. Like we made Bill Weld more libertarian. that's exactly what we just heard, bro, a few years ago.
I didn't lead with Bill Weld. I led with the people working on his campaign.
I know.
And that's true. So
I mean, I actually know a bunch of libertarians that are working on RFK's campaign. And I don't know why the fuck they're doing it, but I mean, I'm sure that it's because money makes the world go round. But
I just don't think it's as like indefensible on its like nearly as indefensible on its face as like your react. If I may say so, I think you've been a little bit emotional about it.
I am emotional, bro. Absolutely. Dude, Colorado is my second home. Like this is where my family is. This is where I was raised. This is like what this is a place I love, and it's where my libertarianism really took root. And to like see the libertarian affiliate supporting someone that's absolutely not a libertarian. He is 100% not a libertarian. To see that breaks my heart, dude. And I don't care if you I know a lot of people out there will be mad that I say this. I don't care that you don't support the presidential candidate. Okay. Every state can, I guess, do what it wants. All right. And whether it calls for disaffiliation, whatever, that is not what I'm set to do. I don't think that we need disaffiliation. There's already a reconciliation committee where they're trying to like figure things out, and the LNC is trying to work things out and talk to the affiliates that are standing against, kind of the status quo. I think that when it comes down to it, there are going to be solutions. I don't think RFK should have even been mentioned as a solution. You know, and
At the very least, though, RFK isn't making jokes currently about can convicted felons be able to vote. Like, and
no,
just
but then
the
he did
greatest,
just
one of the greatest like threats that any of us have faced, at least since COVID, where like if they can just weaponize the justice system against this former president, they can do it against anybody. They're like in real time making feeble jokes about it, which is like our whole point, that like that is so much worse than any policy level position, because that's the one thing we're in a position to influence.
how, I mean,
the
how
narrative.
can, but like, then also just within the last couple of weeks, he's come out and said, you know, that, you know, he doesn't think Israel should stop on the offensive, and he's not okay with a Gaza ceasefire. And he basically saying he wants Israel to take out Gaza is what he's saying. And that's 100% not a libertarian take at all. And people are going to be looking at the things he's saying and then looking at its association with the Libertarian Party of Colorado and assuming that these things are aligned. Whereas like you guys understand that. I know you understand that. Like they're going to see the policies that suck, that are absolutely horrible, that are socialist, that are warmongering. Like I said, he likes a certain flavor of war. He might say he's anti-war, but like most moderate Democrats, they just have a certain flavor of war that they're okay with. This, like, to me, war, anti-war is the gut of the party, especially over the last several years. We've been fighting so hard. We've had so many anti-war rallies, and like to see somebody who is okay with that, but like associated directly with the Libertarian Party affiliate, that kind of, dude, that's like heartbreaking to me, because we as a party, and I know LP Colorado's anti-war, I know you are, I know that everybody, all of my good friends in Colorado are super anti-war. You guys just had a rally there not too long ago too, didn't you? So it's like, you know, and then there's,
we don't disagree. That makes this so heartbreaking. I don't disagree with the single thing you're saying.
But you see it, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, this is now directly tied to and associated with LP Colorado, a war, like someone who's okay with war, and you know, so many thousands of people getting killed, and essentially obliterating Gaza. That shouldn't be associated with.
This is going to be driving more people to our socials and our website than have ever been before. And what they're going to see is a flood of content about how what Israel is doing is completely immoral and how our funding of it is wrong.
Yeah, but it is. But that's what I'm saying though, is like, this was like a self-inflicted wound to allow somebody, and I know that you guys don't really see it as a wound right now, but I definitely see it as a tarnished brand at this point, because I've already listed like the gun grabbing bullshit. And like I said, he's flip-flopped on guns so many times, but he literally just said last year at PorkFest that he would ban guns, but he's not going to touch it because he knows it's not possible. You know what I mean? And guns are one of the most important things to me. Anti-war is one of the most important things to me. Bodily autonomy is extremely important to me. And, you know, and then even like, you know, I know there's a lot of people who are very pro-life in LP Colorado, that, you know, they're, you know, pro-life. And I see him say that he's okay with third-term abortions. And now LP Colorado and all those things are literally tied together. They're literally tied together, and he's literally going to be on the ballot as a libertarian. And dude, I just don't see how, is there anything that can happen possibly for you guys to like recant this decision and just tell him to kick rocks and go fuck himself? Is there anything that you guys can do? Are you guys going to do that?
I mean, we're not like cucked by RFK. Like, we still have complete autonomy over what we're going to do until we do it, right? So I mean,
half the LP
we have built everything that we've done. Sorry, I didn't catch it. What?
Somebody had Jacob commented half the LP supports third-term abortions. That is not fucking true. Okay, pro-choice doesn't mean you support third term abortion. That's crazy talk. But anyways, I wanted you to finish your point. I apologize for that.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I've written some code today, and I totally have lost it.
Written some code and smoking that good Denver weed, bro.
I mean,
I'm
you
just
can
kidding.
either confirm or deny.
Oh, okay. At least a like 100 milligram gummy or nothing like that, before you came on and the national
Dude, I trained it out to do. I would call Trump gay very clearly on a 100 milligram gummy.
Oh my God.
I'm just being silly.
Well, okay. So, I like, there's really like, obviously we talked last night too. We're not going to agree on this. This is not something we're going to agree on. You guys are like making a choice for Colorado. Now there have been people asking and calling for like a special convention that has to be called for by your committee. It can't be called by the membership. I'm not sure how your bylaws work with that. But is that something that you guys want to do? Are you guys going to like hear out your membership? Because I do think that like, obviously you guys are, I'm elected to the LNC as a region alternate, but I'm also been elected to multiple boards. We're elected to represent the people that are here for us. And I'm sure that you guys gotten probably some support, but you've probably gotten equally as much pushback from your own membership. I do think it's important for us to accurately represent our membership. And unless people's opinions and voices are heard in these decisions, I mean, you guys are the board for a reason. They elected you to represent them for this year. But I would say, I think it's a good idea to get everyone together. And if people want to, figure something else out, they can. But is that something you guys are considering doing?
So actually, as of March, I'm no longer on the board.
Right. You're not on the board, but the
last I have heard from them is that there's like plenty of willingness to do it, but the soonest you can is 45 days in our bylaws, at which point, like,
well, you guys have to be on the ballot by September 4th or something like that. There's like a really tight window too. So if that happened, it would have to happen really quick.
And the other thing is, something like that is a lot of planning and effort in the midst of like having a lot of other priorities to try to achieve right now, when we have been, as like the Colorado MC, like 85% of the delegation at the last 3 conventions. And so we all talk, like, everybody's on board with the strategy. Hannah's strategy won unanimously at convention. And this is just completely in line with it, right? There's Republicans who we have like stepped aside for as a result of this deal, who are just as bad on every policy issue. And so the last I heard, they're considering it, but I like, just personally, as somebody not on the board, I don't know, like just doing it to just like get consensus. Like, we operate with consensus, and that's why we're able to do these strong things and keep retaining huge margins at convention. So,
I mean, I understand, like kind of some of the dynamics there. I don't know, man. I don't see that kind of decision, being made lightly either. But you guys have had like pretty staple members too, like resigning from committees. Obviously, Karen Ann resigned from Judicial Committee over this decision. And, I know that there's a lot of people that are, like I said, that are supporting, but you have probably just an equal amount of people that are very, very pissed off, because even the people who are voting to make this happen can agree that RFK is not a libertarian, which is what bothers me so much about it. Is like, if we're agreeing that it's not a libertarian, why would we put him on the ballot? What's the point? So can you just at least give me like a couple more pros, and maybe you can, like you can list a couple pros, list a couple, like, 'cause I know you see some cons too. So you're going to have to list some cons for me as well. I don't think the pros justify, if any, I don't think it justifies it at all. But I would love to hear at least your perspective on this, because I'm sure you have more, talking in your ear than I do. So
I can be I can give you a con easy one, which is what you already mentioned. That there are some people who I like a whole lot that are really upset by this. And it makes me upset because I think it is rooted in a misplaced sense of what we are supposed to do with the party. And I am not really interested, and I think most people in Colorado feel this way. In the party as in any kind of symbolic sense, the party is a weapon that we can wield to claw back a little bit of freedom here in Colorado. And we're only going to do that with a long-term strategy and getting eyeballs on us, getting our local people promoted, getting the correct message about who actually rules us and what we can attempt to do about it, namely nullification, is the most important thing. And he across all of these axes about what we can hope to do with the party and with the presidential race, RFK just is far and away the best. The only one not is just pure policy, right? But we're not signing up to teach a course on libertarianism 101. We're signing up to attempt to achieve something politically. And across every other axis besides the purely policy one, I think it's pretty hard to argue with all the benefits that we're going to get.
but yeah, what benefits are you talking about? You're just talking about money and votes and data? Because I understand what Project Decentralized Revolution is supposed to be and what its goal is. But you're not going to gain membership. You're not going to gain sustainable membership off of this. The data you get, it's going to RFK for his purposes too. And what if you guys have some kind of mutual agreement that you're going to get his data too? Cool. That's fine. I think that all data is important. I think data is, what should be driving a lot of libertarian elections and parties as a force. If you know how to actually use it, which I think you do, but a lot of people aren't trained for that. But the money, to me, that it's a temporary thing, and it's money that's going to come and go. It's going to all be spent on this thing. It's not going to be, you're not going to have a huge retainer at the end of the year or something like that. A lot of it's going to go right into the campaign because it's kind of like being in a band. Everything you make, you put right back into it for its success. I don't know.
There will be more specifics about some of that stuff coming out that I don't want to get into yet. But I think what is answers the question without dodging it is that if we can get 4 people elected to city councils or in mayoral positions across Colorado as a result, even if we can get 2 as a direct result of benefits that we achieve from what we do with the presidential race, that's more than we're going to get with any of our with anything else available to us, which is 0. And with what we're with the stuff that's going to come out in the next couple of weeks, I think it's going to be pretty clear that we're at least going to be able to get a couple. And that's Project Decentralized Revolution. If we can get people in city councils, they can retain those seats. And then those are the people who move up to county commissioner slots and into the state house and start real political careers. I mean, that's how the Dems did it, is they started people at the beginning of their careers and used a data built operation and built from the ground up. And now they control everything.
Well, it was said in the comments, and I actually this is pretty consistently true across the board. In swing states, the swing votes that happen in Colorado, like I said, is not a swing state. Presidential, right, left. Local races usually are not impacted by swing state votes. That just doesn't happen very often. And we've talked about this offline. We've talked about it here. Obviously I completely disagree with this strategy. I think that compromising the affiliate to align with someone who is a socialist by what a lot of people would call a socialist if they're libertarians. I don't think it's okay, man. And I really hope that you do consider that the board will consider having a meeting with their membership to discuss it, because this is something that can be overturned if enough people are against it. And I know that there's a reconciliation committee with the LNC. They're trying to figure things out. You could have fucking run Toad, bro. You could have run Toad. You know, you could have had Chris Franzak from Attila, dude. He could have been your guy. He could have got you 2 million impressions in 24 hours. But you chose the commie socialist, bro, instead of Toad. Toad's pissed.
Hey, I encourage other people to choose Toad. Like other state parties, I think should take a hard look at what kind of leverage they have and reach out to some people and see what they can realistically achieve. Because I think with a lot of what happened at the national convention, this candidacy is not just owed ballot access in these states. So, and like I appreciate you having me on, and I do appreciate everything that the Reconciliation Committee is trying to do. I know that we're committing to this course of action. But there is, I don't think that door's shut at the board. So,
well, I hope that more conversation happens, man. And I know that a lot of this doesn't happen online. Obviously, like I had like a very emotional reaction when you guys announced this.
I wanted to be clear, that was like a emo caucus joke. That was not like me assaulting you for being emotional.
No, I
get
get
to
it.
itself,
It's fine. You're good. You're good. But like, I had a very emotional reaction to this. You called me pretty much right away and we talked it out. But there's nothing that can happen here that's going to make me agree with what happens there. It's ultimately, I have no power over that. I'm just a sore old Colorado resident libertarian that is just pissed off. So take that for what it's will. Ultimately, I think that the membership out there should meet and discuss it and figure things out.
That part will be happening for sure. Whether we like put it under the terms of a special convention or not, I think it remains to be seen. But like that, all that will happen for sure. So
okay, well, I guess we're kind of wrapping up on the show now. Let us know, like, what people should know, where people should go to kind of keep updated on this. I know you guys have more things to say about this. You probably have some more statements or announcements to make on behalf of this decision that was just made. So tell us where they can see all of that stuff.
Well, just one last time, thank you again for having me on. Like, I appreciate you, and I am glad that we can have a conversation about this, because a lot of people who disagree with us right now aren't even in a position to have a conversation. Right. But you got to be a little nicer to Hannah, dude. She'll fucking curse you. I'm pretty sure she does have access to magic. Like, she's wild. She gets shit done.
That was pretty fucked up what I did earlier. I'm really sorry for comparing your voice to RFK's, Hannah. I do think they're very eerily similar, though. And I listened to those videos right after each other, and I was like, "Holy shit, are they cousins?" But
I'm not going to make any sonic judgments. I will merely tell you that she does have magic. But follow us on Twitter. We are going to have more about this coming out over the next couple of weeks. It's at LPCO. If you are in favor of a decentralized strategy by state parties, if you're in favor of state parties attempting to use their leverage and maybe getting a little bit in the muck while keeping their message pure as the driven snow, check us out. Send us a couple bucks. Appreciate you, Ben. Appreciate you guys.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm going to put you backstage real quick. We can talk again in just a second. I'll wrap up my show. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It was definitely a fun one. Interesting. If you can't tell, I fucking hate RFK so much. I've hated him for so long. And I thought that we as libertarians could all like just mutually agree, like, fuck RFK, but it just didn't happen that way so far. And there's going to be talks that happen. I think that there's still some remediation that can happen. We'll see. But before I wrap up here, it's 4th of July tomorrow. I hope you guys have a really great holiday. This Sunday, I'm not going to be doing a show. I'll be back next Wednesday. I will be like probably playing some video games later tonight with Creatrix on her Twitch channel. So check that out. Also, before we leave, just check out the Emo Caucus. You can sign up, join our Facebook, our street team. We got organizers. They just had a really awesome event out in Michigan where they went like river tubing and they cried the entire time. So anyways, hope you guys have a really great night, and we'll see you again next week.